Know the notary laws and safeguard your notary business. Introducing the book, Notary Law and Liability, Understanding State Regulations, Insurance, and Avoiding UPL by Derek Spruill. What you don't know can destroy the notary business you've been building. Get your copy of Notary Law and Liability by Derek Spruill from Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Books of Million, Bookshop.org, Mobile Notary by DerekSpruill.com, or download from Kindle today.
Imagine building this, massive local following. Your phone is just ringing off the hook with new clients, your business is finally scaling up, and then boom, you lose your entire livelihood permanently, all because of a single, poorly translated caption on a short-form video. It sounds extreme, but in this industry, the line between brilliant marketing and catastrophic legal failure is just razor thin. Welcome to Notary Knowledge. We are Marylyn and Eddie.
It really is a high wire act. I mean, you want that visibility, right?
Yeah.
But you have to protect your commission at all costs.
Exactly. So the mission of today's show is mastering local SEO and video marketing to grow your business while, strictly staying within those critical legal boundaries. But before we get into the strategies, we want to encourage you to elevate your business by purchasing the Notary Knowledge books by Derek Spruill and by visiting the Notary Knowledge website.
Yeah, those are just phenomenal resources.
They really are.
Yeah.
Also, be sure to check out our video podcast, No Notary, with Eddie Montes Travis and Marylyn's 90 Seconds of Notary.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Keeping your professional skills sharp on a daily basis is just crucial.
Right, totally. And in a prior session, we covered the fundamentals of basic journal keeping. That was really all about laying the foundation. Today, we are building on that foundation to scale up your business. We are looking at the viral notary, dominating local SEO with video marketing.
I love this topic.
Yeah, get ready for an experienced, high-level exploration of how to use short-form video to attract clients without ever crossing the line into the unauthorized practice of law.
So, the reason we're focusing on video is that the consumer search landscape has just fundamentally shifted. If you want a thriving notary business today, you have to recognize that the old methods, just throwing up a basic website and hoping for the best, they simply aren't enough anymore.
Yeah, because before we can even worry about compliance, you have to actually be seen.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And according to the sources we are looking at, short-form video is essentially the new local search engine. People aren't just typing queries into text boxes anymore. They are discovering local services natively on their video feeds.
The evolution of these platforms is honestly staggering. I mean, TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, they've morphed from basic entertainment networks into highly sophisticated local discovery engines.
Wow.
Yeah, the algorithm is no longer just pushing random viral dances to a global audience.
Mm-hmm.
It is actively using geographic targeting to show your business to the people right in your own neighborhood.
I want to pause on that because how exactly does it know where to push the content? Like if I just type my city into my bio, is that enough?
No, not at all. It goes much deeper than a bio text field.
Mm-hmm.
These algorithms utilize real-time user behavior signals and your device's physical data.
Like what?
So they are pulling your GPS coordinates, your mobile SIM card country codes, your regional system settings, and they even use IP geofencing.
Oh, wow. That is intense.
Yeah. When you upload a new video, the system establishes a local baseline. It literally draws a digital fence around the immediate vicinity of where you posted and distributes that video to a local test group of users first.
So the platform is essentially testing the waters with the people closest to you geographically.
That is the exact mechanism behind it. And that leads to the critical 3 to 7 second rule.
Okay, tell me about that.
The algorithm closely monitors how that initial local test group reacts. Like, are they watching past the first few seconds? Are they swiping away immediately? Are they rewatching?
Right.
If your video captures and holds attention in those crucial first 3 to 7 seconds, the algorithm flags it as high-value content. That flag is the trigger for the platform to push your video out to a much wider local audience.
Wait, I only have 3 to 7 seconds before they swipe away.
Pretty much.
That is terrifying from a marketing perspective. And it brings up a huge point of confusion for me based on our sources. The materials suggest that for real estate and local services, your videos should feel like, quote, movie trailers rather than documentaries.
Right, yeah.
They say you don't need to show every corner, just create curiosity. But we are talking about notarizing legal paperwork. I mean, a power of attorney isn't exactly a Marvel movie. How on earth do you make a movie trailer out of a signature line?
Well, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Filming the paperwork is the exact trap most professionals fall into. The movie trailer analogy isn't about making the act of notarization look like an action film.
Oh, okay.
It's about treating the content as a trailer for your personal brand in the community. The strategy relies on 4 specific content buckets to build your local authority. And honestly, almost none of them involve dry, documentary-style videos about paper.
Okay, walk me through these 4 buckets.
First, neighborhood and city videos. Second, home tours, specifically if you partner with real estate agents.
Makes sense.
Third, local lifestyle content, highlighting the best brunch spots, parks, or coffee shops in your city. And fourth, market or process tips.
Hold on, I have to challenge that third bucket, brunch spots.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to see the connection here. How does me reviewing a local coffee shop or drinking a mimosa on camera get someone to hire me to notarize their living trust?
This is where the 80-20 rule comes into play. 80% of your content should provide general value to your local community, and only 20% should be promotional.
I see.
When you post a great video about a hidden gem coffee shop in your city, you capture local attention. People in your area start following you because you know the city. You become a familiar, trusted face in their feed.
Right.
Then, 3 months down the line, when they suddenly need a notary, who is the first local professional that pops into their head?
I get it. I'm the familiar face. The brunch video is the movie trailer that introduces them to me as a local authority, so I already have their attention when they actually require my services.
Precisely. You are building an audience of locals first. For that 20% of actual notary-specific content, the sources suggest day-in-the-life videos showing your mobile office setup.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and quick educational clips explaining industry terms and sharing client testimonials, with their permission, of course.
Sure. Let's clarify one of those educational clips for the listener. The sources mention explaining the difference between an acknowledgement and a jurat. A lot of people outside the industry have no idea what those mean.
Oh, definitely not.
If I'm making a video on that, I'm basically just explaining that an acknowledgement is when a signer confirms their identity and that they signed willingly, whereas a jurat requires me to actually administer an oath where they swear the contents of the document are true.
That is a perfect example of a short, high-value educational video. And to make sure those videos hit the right local search queries, you absolutely have to use hyperlocal hashtags.
Right.
You want to tag things like hashtag notary near me or your specific city, like hashtag Dallas Notary, alongside actual location geotags on the platform.
Because doing that creates what the sources call a dual-channel search loop. You combine the geographic data from your short-form video with a fully optimized Google business profile.
Exactly.
When someone searches for a notary on Google, they see your business profile, and they recognize your face from their social feeds. It reinforces your local authority instantly.
It creates a really powerful psychological trust factor.
Okay, so we've talked about the theory of building that trust and going viral locally, but we have to pivot to the danger of this strategy. Going viral for the wrong reasons is a nightmare scenario.
Oh, it really is.
If you build this massive audience with a high-converting video, but the advice in that video violates state laws, you aren't just going to get a slap on the wrist. You could lose your entire commission.
The regulatory frontier is an absolute minefield for digital marketing. The core concept every listener needs to internalize is that as a non-attorney notary public, you are legally classified as a ministerial officer.
Which means what, exactly?
That means you have zero discretionary authority over the documents you handle.
Zero. Meaning you cannot draft documents, you cannot alter them, you cannot select the type of notarial certificate a client needs, and you certainly cannot explain the legal consequences of the documents they are signing.
Spot on. Which brings us to one of the most dangerous marketing traps in the entire industry, the notario publico translation.
Let's dig into the why behind this, because it's a linguistic false friend. In many Latin American countries, a notario operates under a completely different legal system, right?
Yes, exactly.
They are highly trained legal professionals with credentials similar to an attorney in the United States. They can draft documents, serve as mediators, and give legal advice.
You hit the nail on the head. When unsuspecting immigrants in the U.S. see a video or an advertisement for a notario publico, they naturally assume they are hiring a lawyer.
Right.
Bad actors exploit this cultural misunderstanding to scam vulnerable people out of thousands of dollars, often ruining their immigration cases in the process.
That is awful. So state laws are incredibly strict about this to prevent fraud. For instance, Texas Government Code 6.017 makes using the literal translation notario publico an express criminal offense.
Wow.
Yeah. A first offense is a Class A misdemeanor, and a repeat offense escalates to a third-degree felony with massive fines.
California is just as aggressive. Using that translation there can result in the permanent revocation of your commission and civil penalties of up to $1,000 per day.
$1,000 a day?
Yeah. Furthermore, if you advertise in a foreign language in states like Texas, California, or Florida, you are legally mandated to include a very specific, conspicuous disclaimer in both English and the advertised language.
And that disclaimer usually reads something like, I am not an attorney licensed to practice law, and I may not give legal advice or accept fees for legal advice.
Correct.
If that disclaimer is missing from your marketing materials, you are committing the unauthorized practice of law, or UPL.
It is a non-negotiable requirement.
Yeah. So this brings up a huge operational question. If we are making all these educational videos for our 20% promotional bucket, where is the line? How do you educate clients on video without accidentally crossing over into giving legal advice?
The golden rule provided in our sources is the what and where, never how and why protocol.
That is a catchy rule. Break down how that actually functions in practice when I'm speaking to a camera.
So it means a notary can safely explain what a physical document is. For example, you can say this stack of papers is a living trust package, and you can explain where the signer needs to place their physical signature or initials.
But I have to stop there.
You must stop there. You must
Right.
never explain how that living trust will legally affect the signer's assets or taxes.
Right.
And you must never explain why a particular clause is written a certain way. If a client in your comments section asks for that level of clarification, you have to redirect them to the document issuer or a qualified attorney.
That requires a lot of discipline, especially when your direct messages are blowing up from a viral video and people are begging for quick answers.
It really does, which is why you can actually automate a lot of this compliance to protect yourself. The sources detail how to use tools like ManyChat integrated directly into your social media direct messages.
How does an automated chatbot keep you legally compliant?
By acting as a strict emotionless compliance screen. When someone comments on your video asking for a notary, the automated system opens a DM and asks them pre-qualifying questions.
Oh, well, like what?
Like, do they have a valid unexpired government ID? Is the document completely filled out with no blanks? It checks these requirements before ever sending them a link to book an appointment with you.
That is brilliant. It filters out invalid assignments automatically, so you never accidentally accept a non-compliant order or get roped into a conversation that crosses into UPL. Insert allocated time for commercial break here. So we spent a lot of time discussing the theory of marketing and staying out of trouble, but the real world is incredibly messy. Theory is great until an actual client is standing in front of you, putting you on the spot. Let's see how these rules hold up in practice with our fan favorite segment. Good question. What would you do? Where we tackle real-world scenarios from our listeners.
I always look forward to these because they really test your foundational knowledge.
You need to. Our first scenario comes from Nora in Illinois. Nora asks, what should I do if a peace officer demands my notary journal?
That is an incredibly intense situation for any professional, but the law provides a pretty clear roadmap. Using California Government Code 8206 as our high-level benchmark here, a notary is required to immediately surrender their journal to a peace officer, but only under highly specific conditions.
Meaning they can't just walk into your office and ask to browse through it on a whim.
Correct. We have Fourth Amendment protections. The peace officer must be acting in their official capacity, they must be actively investigating a criminal offense, and they must have probable cause to seize that journal as evidence.
Right. Okay.
If they meet those criteria, you surrender it immediately, or as soon as physically possible if you don't have it on your person.
But you don't just hand over the core record of your business and walk away. You need to establish a paper trail.
Yes, absolutely. You must obtain a detailed receipt for the journal from the officer. Then the clock starts ticking. You have to notify the Secretary of State within 10 days, typically by certified mail.
And what goes in that notification?
You need to provide the chronological period of the journal entries, your commission number, the expiration date, and a photocopy of the receipt. After that, you must obtain a brand new sequential journal to resume your business.
Wait, so even if the police eventually return the original journal after the investigation, you never write in the old one again?
Never.
Yeah.
The chain of custody has been broken.
That makes total sense. It's a locked piece of evidence at that point.
Exactly.
Okay, scenario 2 is from Elias in Arizona. Elias has a client who is begging him to backdate an acknowledgement for a real estate closing. The client says it's just a simple clerical fix, no one will know, and it will save a massive deal from falling through.
Yeah, this is a scenario every notary will face eventually, and it is a massive red flag.
I would say it's more than a red flag. You are executing a certificate with a known false statement.
The disciplinary guidelines treat this as a severe breach of honesty and integrity. If you backdate an acknowledgement, you aren't just bending a rule, you are falsifying a legal record. The recommended action is the immediate revocation of your commission.
Wow. And it hits your wallet aggressively, too.
Definitely. You are looking at up to a $1,500 civil penalty just for the administrative violation. But beyond that, willfully stating a material fact on a certificate that you know to be false subjects you to a separate civil penalty of up to $10,000.
$10,000 over what is likely a $50 or $100 signing fee. That is sobering. It completely destroys the "I'm just helping a guy out" rationalization. It is never worth saving a client's deal to commit fraud.
The math just doesn't work out in your favor, ever.
Let's move to scenario 3 from Hazel in New York. Hazel says she is confused about how to fill out the venue block on the notarial certificate when she is traveling for a mobile signing. She works in one county, but she drove across the border to another county to meet the client.
This is a very common point of confusion for mobile notaries. However, looking at statutes from states like Florida and Texas makes the underlying logic crystal clear.
Okay.
The venue, which is a part of the certificate that reads state of blank, county of blank, is always the physical location where the notarization is taking place at that exact moment in time.
Why does the venue matter so much?
It's about jurisdiction. You are legally swearing that the oath or the acknowledgement occurred in a specific geographic territory. It grounds the document in physical reality for the courts.
So it has absolutely nothing to do with where the notary lives, where their office is, or where they were originally commissioned.
Not at all.
If you cross county lines to meet a client at a coffee shop, the venue is the county where that coffee shop sits.
It is that simple. You document where your feet are planted at the time of signing.
Scenario 4 is a tricky one regarding family. Sebastian in California wants to know if he can notarize business documents for his wife to save them both some time and money.
This is a perfect example of why you have to know your specific state laws, because the exact wording varies, but the overarching philosophical advice is universal.
Let's look at the different legal approaches. How does Texas handle this?
Texas law says there is no explicit prohibition against notarizing a spouse's signature, but the state manual notes that it's a terrible practice because a notary cannot be financially or beneficially interested in the transaction.
And what about California, where Sebastian is operating?
California law explicitly states that a notary who has a direct financial or beneficial interest in a transaction shall not perform any notarial act in connection with it. It is considered highly inadvisable and actually makes the transaction voidable in court.
And Florida takes it even further, right?
Yes. Florida law strictly prohibits it. You cannot notarize a signature if the person is your spouse, son, daughter, mother, or father.
But let's dig into the why. It all comes back to impartiality, right? If my wife benefits financially from a contract she is signing, I technically benefit from it too as her spouse.
Bingo. A financial or beneficial interest completely corrupts the core function of a notary, which is to serve as an unbiased, objective third-party witness.
Right.
If you have a stake in the outcome, you are no longer objective.
Yeah.
So across the board, the high-level professional advice is never do it. Find another notary. Don't risk your family's legal documents just to save a convenience fee.
Great advice. Our final scenario is from Luna in Pennsylvania. Luna is looking into remote online notarization, or ON, and she asks a very practical question. She says, how do I protect myself against sophisticated fake IDs online? If I'm just looking at someone through a webcam, how on earth do I know the hologram on their driver's license isn't just a really good fake? Doesn't doing this remotely make fraud easier?
It sounds counterintuitive, but it's actually the opposite. That is the beauty of the ARN standard. You aren't relying on your own human eyes squinting over a blurry webcam feed. The technology does the heavy lifting far beyond what human vision can accomplish.
Walk me through how that technology actually catches a fake.
Well, it uses two interconnected systems. First is credential analysis. The ARN platform uses advanced third-party software to digitally examine the government-issued ID.
So it's not just a picture.
No, the client uploads high-resolution images, and the software checks the embedded security features, the microprinting that is invisible to the naked eye, the font spacing, and data consistency across the barcodes. It analyzes aspects of the card that you couldn't even verify if you were holding it in your own hand.
Okay, that covers the physical card. But what if they bought a stolen, real ID on the dark web? The card is real, but the person holding it is an imposter.
That is where the second system kicks in. Knowledge-based authentication, or KBA.
How does that work?
The system generates highly specific, out-of-wallet security questions based on the signer's public records. We're talking about things like the color of a car they financed 10 years ago, or a past address from another state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The signer has to answer these questions correctly within a very tight time limit to prove they are the actual person listed on that verified ID. Combining those two layers, the digital forensic analysis of the card and the public record interrogation of the person, stops identity fraud dead in its tracks.
That technology is a fascinating leap forward for the industry. Which actually brings us to a final thought for you to ponder. We just discussed how biometric verification, cryptography, and remote online notarization systems are advancing rapidly. These digital platforms can now catch identity fraud far better than the human eye ever could.
That's very true.
So as this technology becomes the absolute gold standard for identity verification, will the traditional in-person notary eventually become a relic of the past? Or will the psychological weight, the gravity of having to look a public official in the eye and swear an oath remain an irreplaceable part of our legal system? Something to think about as you build your business. Email your questions to Derek at dereksproul.com. We will try to answer as soon as possible at the end of our shows. Executive producer Derek Sproul, lead writer Marylyn Trotter, graphics Eddie Montes Travis, music Thomas Bynum, produced by Magnificent Works Business Solutions. Don't just be listeners of the knowledge, be doers of the knowledge. This is Notary Knowledge. Until next time.
Ready to unlock your notary potential and boost your income? It's time to move beyond basic notarizations. In Notary, Niche Navigator by Derek Sproul, learn the most profitable specialized services. Learn to master high-demand areas like loan signings, international apostilles, and I-9 employment verifications. This essential guide offers new ideas to help you become the go-to expert in your field. Grab your copy of Notary, Niche Navigator by Derek Sproul today and start building your empire.